Hi, I'm the Chief from Marathon Mates, and welcome to episode number 134. On tonight's episode, we are going to continue talking about the SuperHalfs. So last week we focused on Lisbon and Prague SuperHalf, and tonight we're going to talk about Berlin and Copenhagen. This is the second part of our three-part series where we're going to look at and provide detailed information about this exciting running concept. The SuperHalfs are an exciting concept in Europe which mirrors the World Marathon Majors by having a series of half marathons around around some of Europe's biggest cities. It's an exciting concept and definitely one series of events that us at the Marathon Mates are interested in doing at some stage in the future. As you know, we love running. We love sharing our adventures of running around the world. We are the only podcast with 4 7-star world major marathon runners. And this is the Flying RuNR Podcast. Are you ready to run? Let's go.
It's the Flying RuNR. Run far, run free. Host the 7 stars, inclusive as can be. It's the Flying RuNR for you and me.
Welcome back, everyone. Now, before we have a laugh and work our way through Berlin and Copenhagen SuperHalfs, let me introduce you to our regular co-hosts, Tony, Tara, and Tim. Now, what's everyone been up to? I'm going to start with Tony. How's your weekend? And more importantly, how is are you able to give us an update on your pace and glory?
Well, I'm still in rehab, so I'm still not running. And the knee's actually worse today than what it has been. So I think it's time I went and got a MRI done or something because it's really starting to frustrate me. But you know, that's the running journey. We're basically walking, and even that's getting a little bit too much for me. So not much excitement there. On your pace and glory, really interesting to see the support. It's been fantastic to see the support. Something like 100 people have saved the album, so on whatever streaming platform. I think that's pretty cool. The best song, the most streamed song, is Finish Lines, not Finish Times, followed by I Can Do Hard Things, and I've got to say I love that song. Party at the Back is the third, followed by Eyes on the Prize, and then Listen to Your Body. So, and I think that's pretty much how I structured. And then when it starts to come into our theme songs, it falls off a little bit. But I sort of expected that. So I've got another Out and Back episode coming out it came out on Wednesday, and then there'll be the last one. And I sort of relate those last couple of songs, you know, Tim's tip, Lucia's tip, Tara's tip, and then finally Tony's tip as the back half of your run when you're running with friends. So if people know the podcast, I'm sure they like the songs. Whereas I think the first side of the album is more generic to the general running community with subtle little references to the Flying RuNR. So so going really cool. I love watching the stats. Interesting, Apple Music's almost caught up with Spotify too. Just saying. So which is cool.
And excellent. And what's Team Ellis been up to?
Tim, do you want to?
Tara, you want to?
Fine. I was giving you a chance to say that you've actually been running during the week for a change, but if you're not going to do it, that's fine. So
I've been running
Tim has been running during the week, which is nice. I've been doing some treadmill runs. I've done some interval sessions on the treadmill during the week, and I also did a long tempo run. Tim has been running in the mornings, just listening to his body and not really watching the watch or looking at the clock or anything, just going by feel, so listening to his body. And Saturday we did park run at Chermside together, which was lovely. We actually got to see friends of ours, and Lucia, you would know Delia from the Boston Marathon. So she was at Chermside Park Run as well, which was lovely to see. And Sunday we did a long run. Tim did 18 Ks. He did the first 7.5 Ks with me and then took off for the last little bit and then caught up to me about 2 Ks to go. But I had the company of Patrick this week. So Patrick's starting to train for his double marathon, double at the Gold Coast, so the half and the full. So he's starting to do that. And that kid is going to kick my butt, is the nicest way to put it, because he's like, Mum, you walk so much. You're walking too much. Come on, run. And I'm like, this is his first run back since probably running the Gold Coast last year. He kicks out 15 Ks and he's just like, that was a bit slow. That was a bit easy. So, yeah,
Still,
a bit disappointed.
he's still full of energy at the end of it, wasn't it? Wasn't he? So
He was,
maybe he
yeah.
needs to run with me and I'll push him out a little bit further and we both catch you later on.
I think so.
Just to wear him out. But no, I've got consistent weeks now going together back to back with, running on the same days each week, getting the same sort of distances each week, up around that 50 Ks every week. So, yeah, pretty happy with it. I'm also seeing some benefits. I'm losing a little bit of weight, which is always a positive, or the weight I put on at the end of the year is now starting to go. It's pretty good. Hopefully you can hear me all right. It's blowing a gale outside at the moment and my windows behind me keep rattling away. So hopefully you can hear me properly.
Yeah, no, we can hear you all good. So I've had getting back into the consistency, which is good. So I can't remember if I mentioned, but I've signed up to be a casual run coach with Can2, which is an organisation which raises money for cancer research. They've been going for, this is the 21st year. So I had to stand in for one of the coaches last week, which was not daunting because I don't mind coaching, but the CEO of the company came as well because they only called me late Tuesday afternoon saying, any chance you can help us out in the morning with the session? I'm like, yeah. And the CEO stayed for the whole session. I'm like, baby Jesus. So it was really good. And everyone was just in it just for the right reasons because they want to improve their running, raise money for cancer research. So that was quite cool. And then I went to the track session on the Wednesday night. So for the people in Sydney, ES Marks at Kensington, I swear you need traffic lights in that place. There were hundreds of people. It was just insane, but really good to see how it all works. So I got another longish run in yesterday, just over 10 Ks. Again, it was hot and humid, but happy with how things are going. And before I forget, the next Sydney Marathon Run Club is going to be Sunday, February 15th, and they're going to be giving away some prizes. And part of that, some of the prizes will be entries into the marathon. So if anyone in Sydney that has missed out on a marathon entry, and if you want a chance, register because you have to be registered to be eligible for the prizes. There's going to be some other announcements on the day as well, which is going to be very, very exciting. So
interesting.
guys,
Hey, Luch, before we
yes.
move on, can I just put a plug out to everyone that listens and follows us to share with a friend, and particularly Instagram and Facebook? We've been stuck at about 191 subscribers or followers on both of those platforms. So we're that close to ticking over 200 on both platforms. And to be honest, I'm really tired that we're sitting at 191 or 192, or every now and again we drop down to 190 and then it picks back up. So please share. Please share us around because I'd love to see us get over 200 in the next couple of weeks. So, all right.
Excellent. Thank you, Tony. Now it's that time of the week where we talk about the news. Tim, what's been happening around the world this week?
Thanks, Lucia. This week, we're going to follow on from last week's news. Last week, we talked about the Boston Marathon elite field. Well, Boston is always 6 days before London Marathon. And guess what? 5 or 6 days after Boston announced their elite field, out came the London Marathon elite field for the men's and women's field. It is, again, a pretty awesome-looking field. So it features some of the fastest men and women to have ever run the marathon, plus a heap of local British marathon runners as well. In the men's side, there's Sebastian Sarway and Jacob Kiplimo headlining the field. They were both first and second, respectively, in last year's race and were the two fastest marathon runners in 2025. Joshua Cheptegei, the two-time Olympic champion, is also running, while Yomith Kidjelcha, sorry, mate, if I've mispronounced your name, is the second fastest runner ever over the half marathon, is also making his marathon debut. And ninth fastest of all time, Derisa Galota, is also running. So pretty big fields, pretty big news. I'm not going to go through all the names there, but a couple of key ones there from Australia. Tim Vincent, 209.40, is in the field, as is Liam Buden in 210.28 from an Australian point of view. But there's some big names in there. Amanal Petros from Germany, I think that's who he is. He's competing as well. He's been around, came second in Valencia last year. As I said, Sebastian Sarway heading it with 2:02.05 best time. It looks like a quick field. In the women's side of the draw, though, 4 of the 6 fastest women ever to run the marathon distance will compete against each other at the 2026 London Marathon. When I say 4 of the 6 fastest women, let's just call it 4 of the 5 fastest women, because we all know the fastest woman in the world is a drug cheat and we don't want to count her time. So let's just say 4 of the 5 fastest women ever. It also includes the top 3 who finished last year in 2025. Tajista Sefa will be back. Olympic champion and Tony's favourite Safan Hassan will be back, and world champion Perez Jepchirchir will also be back as well. Other notable names include Joycelyn Jepkosgei, who's run a personal best of 2:14 flat at the Valencia Marathon last year. Helen Obiri is also in the field, who's won numerous races, including Boston and New York City marathons. So it's a big field. And there's also, from a British point of view, there's also Eilish McCoglin, who will also be there trying to beat the British record as well. So there's no Australian women of note in the elite field, but there are plenty of big names. And guys, I'm really excited by this, to see Tajista Sefa, Safan Hassan, Joycelyn Jepkosgei, Perez Jepchirchir, Helen Obiri, all going head to head. It's going to be a really exciting race, and hopefully it's good weather conditions on the day. And just maybe they may come close to that world record, the official world record that is got an asterisk on it with a drug cheat.
And side note, last week I was watching I was watching The Chase, and there was a question: which country does Safan Hassan represent? Naturally, I got it right, and the person answering got it wrong. I was like, my God, I know this.
Who was it? Which country does who represent? Safan Hassan.
Yeah.
Safan Hassan, yes. The answer would be?
The Netherlands.
The Netherlands, yes, correct, 100%. In the other news, now I had some other news in the run sheet, but I'm going to change it. I'm going to go rogue. I'm going to say that next year it has been announced that the World Age Group Marathon Championships will be held in the Tokyo Marathon event. That is news. So for those who aren't aware of what the World Age Group Championships are, basically for marathons, if you run select marathons around the world, including the majors, but also some other Abbott's marathons around the world, you will gain points. And based on the amount of points you accumulate every year, will put you into a ranking, and those in the top rankings for their age group will be invited to compete at the World Age Group Marathon Championships. Last year, correct me if I'm wrong, it was held in New York at the New York Marathon, I believe. Where is it this year? Is it Cape Town this year?
Cape Town.
Cape Town this year, and then next year it will be at Tokyo, remembering that also a couple of years ago it was also held in Sydney. So these are big events that encourage and attract a lot of runners out there. So some big news in that space as well. And then lastly,
Tim, sorry, just let me ask a question, and I'm going to put it out to everyone. So Sydney hosted the World Age Championships the year before it became a major. Cape Town is hosting the World Age Championships. Now, we're going to assume the year before it becomes a major. So do you think by Tokyo hosting it in 27, that maybe Shanghai will host it in 28 and then it will be a major in 29? Just putting it out there.
Maybe, but I don't think that's the golden rule is you have to have the World Age Group Championships to be a
He
major.
needs to go on a patent, Tim.
I think the interesting part about the world age groups is that when it was in Sydney, there was a number of the categories. There was some really old runners in there, 80s and 90s. And I think the interesting thing with Tokyo will be the cutoffs and how they actually work, because I know that some of those older runners were running slower than what I ran Sydney in what year was that again, Luch? 24?
24.
So it will be interesting how Tokyo play the cutoffs that particular year, because they are incredibly strict, as we know, with the cutoffs. 1 second too late and you are gone. So it'll be interesting if we see some leeway in 27 when they do the world champs there.
That's it. And just one other last bit of news, guys. Speaking of Japan, the Osaka Marathon has recently been run and done. This is another one of the big marathons in the Japan country, and it was won by Stella Chesang, who broke away in the closing stages to win the marathon in 2 hours 19 and 31 minutes to become the first Ugandan woman to win a World Athletics Platinum Label marathon event. She made her final move in the final 2 kilometres, her decisive move in the final 2 kilometres, leading 3 other women who also ran inside 2 hours 20 minutes. Chesang was the Commonwealth champion in the 10,000 metres back in 2018 and ran as part of a sizable lead group through the early kilometres with defending champion Workanesh Edessa from Ethiopia leading, as well as Herpa from Ethiopia, Matsuda from Japan, Yusuke Aizawa and marathon debutant Mikui Yada. I think they're all from Japan as well. So, an interesting win there. 3 women going under 2 hours 20. In fact, 4 women going in under 2 hours 20. 2 hours 19 and 31 seconds for Stella Chesang, who won it. 2 hours 19 and 54 seconds for Betatu Herpa from Ethiopia. Workanesh Edessa, who came in 2 hours 19 and 56. And Mikuni Yada from Japan, also in 2 hours 19 and 57. So this is a huge event. The Japanese love their running. They love seeing the Japanese runners out there on the course. They really admire the marathon distance, and it's one of those events I would love to get to one day. I'm not sure about you guys, but for me, it's definitely on the bucket list.
It would be fascinating to watch that one, yeah.
Yep. And that's the news this week, guys. Over to you, Lichia.
Excellent. Thanks, Tim. So now it's time to talk about the SuperHalfs. So last week we focused on Berlin. No, sorry. I forgot. What did we do last week? Oh, my God, because I've gone
Lisbon and Prague. Lisbon and Prague.
Lisbon and Prague. Gee, sorry. So the SuperHalfs, it's a concept of Europe. So it's 6 halves, and previously they had a time limit, but now because the races are so popular, there's no time limit. So each time you do one of the SuperHalfs, you get a virtual stamp in your Super Passport, and you don't have to do it in any order. Once the 6 are done, similar to the Abbott World Major Marathons, you get a medal. So let's get started on the first of our events tonight. So sorry, I'm having a cracker tonight. So we're going to be focusing on Berlin and Copenhagen tonight. So we'll get started. And the first one is going to be Berlin. Now, Tony, tell our listeners a little bit about Berlin.
Yeah, Berlin, we've all been there. We love it. We ran the marathon there 2023, I think. And when did you run it, Luch?
2018.
Yeah. So the marathon's held in the other half of the year, and the half marathon is usually held once again late March or early April. You get a really good run there, don't we? Because both of the half marathons we talked about last week were held in March as well. And this year it's on the 29th. So the Generali, and if I've got words here that I'm not going to say, right? So the Berlin Half Marathon is synonymous with enthusiasm, diversity, and a unique experience spirit amongst runners, wheelchairs, handbikers, inline skates, and spectators. That's one of the unique things around both the Berlin Half and the Berlin Full is the inline skating. So if you're looking for one of the biggest half marathons in the world, you'll find it with Berlin. Let yourself be inspired and carried away by the course, the audience, the city. So this year, it'll be its 45th anniversary. And thanks to the lottery system, all interested athletes get an equal chance of gaining to the race entry during the registration period. Last year, the registration for the year's race closed on May 22, 2025, and the results were announced on June the 2nd. The half marathon from Berlin is organised in accordance with the regulations of the German Athletics Association and World Athletics under the supervision of the Berlin Athletics Association. So all runners born in 2010 and older are eligible to participate. So what's that? That's
16.
Okay, 16. Nordic walkers are not permitted. So that's very important to note for us Aussies. And walkers are permitted as long as they stay within the time limit of 3 hours 15 from when they cross the start line. So Tim, what's a Nordic walker?
They're the guys with sticks, I believe, that
Gotcha.
walk with poles.
That's what I was envisaging. So, of course, what were you envisaging? I'm not even going to ask, right? So you've got the main lottery, but other ways to enter are via charity groups and select tour operators. In 2026, a warming and reusable poncho awaits all the finishers at the finish line. This is free of charge and can be a great reminder of your run and the anniversary. Alternative, a clothing bag can be booked for €5 if desired. Please note that if you do book a clothing bag, there will unfortunately be no poncho. No soup for you. No poncho for you. So the selection that's made during registration is binding and cannot be changed afterwards. Approximately 40,000 runners will compete in the half marathon events. And the current records, men's is 58 minutes and 42 seconds by Eric from Kenya and Kiptanui. And the women's record is 1 hour and 5 and 2 seconds by Sheila Kiprotich Chepkiru from Kenya. So, in addition to the half marathon, there's also inline skating, hand biking, wheelchair events over the half marathon distance as well. In addition, on the day before the Berlin Half Marathon, you'll have the opportunity to run a historic distance in the world of athletics on an iconic course, 1.6 kilometers on the last kilometers of the original course from Lustgarten at the Berlin Cathedral and the forum that's at Humboldt past the Opera House, University, and crossing the Brandenburg Gate. Weather super fast with a super run as a beginner with the family as a comeback. And that race has a 30-minute time limit and starts at 2 o'clock. Now, the cool things.
Sorry, they call that the Berlin Mile.
Yeah.
And it's run on the Saturday afternoon.
I probably could not do that at the moment, but I'll get there. Now, the top 5 things to do in Berlin I found was drinking beer because it's cheaper than water, right? And eating pizza. Funnily enough, I found some of the pizza places in Berlin. But apart from that, Tim's given me a list here. So the Humboldt Forum is a multifaceted museum in the center of Berlin. It's a place of culture and science, as well as the exchange of ideas and discussions. The Berlin TV Tower is nearby, Germany's tallest building at 386 meters. The Victory Column is located on the Grand Boulevard, and it's just on the opening straight of the marathon there. So you get to run either side of it. Runners pass by after just a few meters into the race. So it's obviously starts at the same location, Tim. Is that right? I know you get to talk about the course.
Yeah, it does. It is essentially a very mini version of the Berlin Marathon weekend. So, yeah.
Okay, Checkpoint Charlie is the name of the former border crossing between East and West Berlin. Today, during the division of Berlin, so such checkpoints were used to cross. Today, Checkpoint Charlie Wall Museum is located at Friedrichstrasse. I gave it a go. If it's wrong, it's wrong. Potsdamer Platz. Platz is a traffic junction in Berlin's Mitte district. After German reunification, the area around the square was redesigned and is now a prominent tourist. And of course, you cannot go to Berlin and not go to the Brandenburg Gate. So all runners know the Brandenburg Gate as the final major site of the Berlin Half Marathon. From this Berlin landmark, which also stands for the reunification of Germany, it is only a few more strides to the finish line. So, general question, everyone. I've got pretty fond memories of Berlin, the city. Not so much Munich, but Berlin definitely. So, what were your memories of Berlin?
I actually would like to add one more thing to your list of 5 things, Tony, and that's get a bike and go for a bike ride around Berlin. It is absolutely amazing city to get a bike. It's flat and it's really accessible by bike, and you can see a lot of the parts of Berlin just on bike. So yeah, it's a bike-friendly city as well.
Yeah, the thing that amazed me with Berlin is how small it actually is for a capital city. You can actually almost walk across the whole city in a few hours from countryside to countryside through the city area. But yes, so much history in one spot. You've got Museum Island with all the museums there. You've got the Brandenburg Gate and the Tiergarten behind that. You've got the river going through the middle there, which you can get boats on. But as you say, the beers and sitting by the river with a paddle full of beers or a meter-long paddle of beers like Tara and I had. It was a good time, wasn't it? So, yeah, no, happy memories of that. And as I said earlier, you'll find through tonight's discussions the Berlin Half Marathon is pretty much an exact replica of the Berlin Marathon as far as how they organise it goes, and all the same sort of stuff. Starts and finishes at the same points, just slightly different course. But, it has all the looks and feels of a Berlin major marathon. For a half marathon.
And I think for me, one of the memories I've got of Berlin, the size of the schnitzel. They were bigger than the plate. You think, how am I going to finish it? But big schnitty after the marathon with a nice cold stein of beer. But I think the history, like thinking about what happened all those years ago and to how it is now and how much of the wall is still up, just absolutely fascinating. Excellent. Thank you for that recap, Tony. Now, Tara, tell us a bit about the Berlin Half Marathon Expo.
Excellent. So I've got the expo side today because you are hosting, so that's always good. The expo is actually held at the Flughafen Tempelhof, so it's the old Berlin airport, and that was built during the Nazi era. So this is where we actually had our expo for the Berlin Marathon. It's no longer there, but it's a very interesting place to hold the expo. And if you do get a chance, go outside and have a look at not just the expo part of it itself, go and have a look at the planes, because I believe that they are still out on the runway there. Yep. And you can actually have a look at some old planes, and it's quite fascinating even for people that don't like planes. The expo is going to be open on the Friday, the 27th of March from 11 to 8 and Saturday 9 a.m. till 7 p.m. There is no car parking there, so you do need to take public transport or walk. Your race entry will include public transport for free for all runners. So public transport in Berlin is quite easy to use. Don't be afraid of it. Go ahead, use it. Or walk. It's not that far really around the city. So it is one of the largest consumer expos dedicated to running, fitness, health and lifestyle. So the Half Marathon Expo, once again, offers the ideal platform for brands, race organisers, service providers and retailers to showcase their products and innovations to an enthusiastic and active audience, according to Tim. So with over 60,000 visitors in recent years, the expo has become a key meeting point for the international running community, seamlessly integrated into the event program of the prestigious Berlin Half Marathon. To get your bibs and race shirts, you must present your registration document, which was sent by email, and you will also receive a wristband. So it sounds very similar to the actual marathon itself, where you had to get wristbanded. Don't cut it off. It proves that you're a runner and allows you entry into your corral. So it sounds like they've got very similar rules to what they had for what they have for the marathon. It really does have that really good feel that we're all used to. So looking at many of the videos of the half marathon weekend, sparks my interest in what I want to go. So,
Awesome. Now, just on the wristbands, another random question. After you guys did Berlin, how long did you keep the wristband on for?
I reckon mine would have stayed on for maybe a month, and then I cut it off. I cut it off, and then it became a keychain. Oh, Tim's showing it to. I made a keychain for both of us out of ours. So that's what happened to our one.
Tony?
I think mine came off that night. I was sick of wearing it.
Okay.
Yeah, they get a bit smelly.
You had your one for a long time, Luke?
About 2 years.
Yeah, one of our
truly?
friends. Yeah. So Kay, one of our friends, has still got hers on from Berlin Marathon as well. Yep.
Oh, and if any of our listeners who have done Berlin, please let us know how long have you kept the Berlin Marathon wristband on for. Let's see what the longest one. Let's see if anyone can beat me of 2 years.
Wow.
And they are very hard wearing wristbands, and they wash really well. So don't think they're getting stinky and smelly. They are washable in the shower, and they're very hard wearing. So I don't know. Did yours actually fall off, Lucia, or did it?
No, I had to. No, I refused to cut it. It was kind of like a maneuver. I literally had to do it in small stage. Like I nearly broke my wrist doing it. Yeah. So
they literally just for our listeners, they literally heat seal it onto your wrist, so you can't break it or get it off. The only way you can get it off is by cutting it or slowly trying to slide it off.
My my wife was she hates things like this. So the minute we got back after the expo, she maneuvered her hand so she could take it off. And then she maneuvered her hand the next day to put it back on. So my wife is very unique in some of the things that she does.
She's just special.
I'll make sure she does not listen to this episode.
She's probably listening in the background.
Probably.
No,
Sharon knows we love her.
Yeah,
she knows we love her. She's good.
Now, Tim, I'm going to pass it on to you now to give us an overview of the course.
All right, thanks, Lucia. As I said, this gives me all the feels of the Berlin Marathon. So if you find that you'd love to run the Berlin Marathon but think you'll never, ever be able to do the marathon distance, this is a great way of being able to have the same sort of feel as what it's like running the Berlin Marathon. It is a flat and fast course. It's excellent for PBs. It goes across the capital. It's a point-to-point circuit. Not a point-to-point. It's a loop course through Berlin. So you start and finish at the Tiergarten, which is just beyond the Brandenburg Gate in the middle of Berlin itself. It starts by running on the same starting part. You run north from the Tiergarten and you run up to the Victory Column. And it's about the Victory Column where in the marathon you veer off to the right and start a big clockwise loop around the city. Well, in this instance for the half marathon, you start to keep going forward beyond the Victory Column for another 2 kilometres before you then start to make an anti-clockwise loop around the city. So you do run, I think, looking at it, you do sort of run on many of the same parts of the course for the marathon, but also obviously many different parts for the course. But the course around about 9, 10, 11, 12 kilometres, I think is very similar to the marathon course. You run all the way around through towards Potsdamer Place, which where Tony mentioned before, and you keep heading around towards the east of the city on your loop. And there is one sort of out and back section there where you go out from 16 kilometres out to 17 Ks, turn around and then follow yourself back before you have a big long finish down the main street there, which is called the Unterdels, whatever it is, the Unter den Linden from memory, which takes you through the Brandenburg Gate. And once you cross through the Brandenburg Gate, you've got about 400 metres or thereabouts until you hit the finish line, which is the same finish line for the marathon itself as well. So along the course, there's 6 stations for drinks where you can refresh yourself and recharge. The stations are on the right-hand side of the course as you're running. They have refill stations if you choose to wear a hydration vest. And on each of the stations, it's a combination of things like water, tea, Morton drinks, so sports drink from Morton. They also give out gels at 12.3 kilometers. Tara, your favorite, they haven't missed out on this one at 14 Ks. They give everyone a banana if you want a banana. At 17 Ks, you get another banana if you want. So again, it's very similar to the actual marathon, just a condensed version of it. Great spectators around the course. They say the crowds are loud, and there's huge crowds along the entire course, just like what we experienced when we were in Berlin. There'll be local music setups and volunteers cheering everyone through. Very big, thick crowds along the way. This definitely looks like one of the good half marathons. It would be one that I would like to do with the SuperHalfs. I'd like to do them all, but definitely I really enjoyed Berlin and my time in Berlin, and I think this would be one that I'd definitely like to go back and have a crack at. We had so much fun and so many happy memories that it would be fantastic to go back again.
No, definitely. Yeah, because Berlin. Oh, sorry, Tony, you go.
No, the course looks really straight, doesn't it? It just you start and you go. So, and it sort of goes on that side of the city instead of doing that big thing that the marathon does. So it's quite interesting. Yeah, be a good course.
You know, I definitely like to do this one because even though Berlin Marathon, my day didn't go well, but I would kind of like to go and have another crack at it. Maybe not the full, but I think the half would probably be more up my alley. Well, thank you very much, Tim. So now our next one we're going to talk about is the Copenhagen Half Marathon. Tony, are you able to give our listeners a bit of insight into Copenhagen?
All right, the same proviso always applies when I'm going through the show notes. If I cannot read the word, I will skip it. And if it is an important word, Tim normally chimes in and tells me what the word is. So
there's a lot of Danish words, heads up.
Yeah. All right, so the Copenhagen Half Marathon. And I remember preparing for Amsterdam, and Tim, for whatever reason, had in the back of his mind, he kept thinking I was going to Copenhagen to run the marathon. So if you think back a couple of months, Tim's always got Copenhagen on his mind. So, but it's a race that's known around the world for its world record course and high quality elite field. It was only established in 2015, which is interesting, but it's quickly become one of Europe's must-run races. It's not just a race for elites. Runners will enjoy the race of their life, running along the event's flat, wide, and traffic-free course. Well, I'm hoping that it's traffic-free. I don't think I'd ever run a race where you've got to compete with the traffic. Running George Street in peak hour traffic may not be the wisest move for Sydney organisers. So, the route itself almost seems like it was planned as a sightseeing tour of the city, covering many of Copenhagen's famous sites. Along the way, you'll see the old stock exchange, the Parliament, Christiansborg, the Marble Church, and the Black Diamond. So the race passes through many of the city's famous districts, and trust me, they are famous. After completing the half marathon, the finish line awaits you on one of the most iconic boulevards in Copenhagen. And I am going to try and pronounce this one, Frederiksberg Allé, so like the boxer, where thousands of spectators will be cheering you on. It's hard to believe that one half marathon can pack so many sites into the one course, but the Copenhagen half has all that and much more awaiting runners. In 2026, the World Athletics Road Running Championships came to Copenhagen, featuring the World Championships in the half, the 5, and the 1 mile distances. The half marathon World Championships will be held on Sunday, 20th of September 2026, while the World Championships in the 2 shorter distances will take place on Saturday, the 19th. All entries for the half marathon were sold out through a lottery. Once again, we're looking at a lottery system, but it's still possible to purchase an entry for the 5 and the 1 mile events. Later in 2025 or early 2026, well, we are now in 2026, a resale portal will be launched to ensure secure buying and selling of World Championship bib numbers. So is that only for the World Championships, Tim, or is that something they do every year?
It was difficult. No, it was difficult. I was trying to work it all out because there's obviously translation issues here. It sounds like they're holding the World Athletics World Championships for road running events this year. Seems like that they had a process where they started selling some entries for the half marathon this year, and then they won the World Championships. And they're hosting the World Championships on the same weekend when they would normally host the half marathon. But because of that, they've decided that they won't have a public entry race this year for the half marathon, and they're postponing the actual Copenhagen Half Marathon this year so that they can have the elites compete in their own championship on that weekend. So it sounds like there's no actual public event this year, and anyone who did have entries, they will have to be shuffled around, is what it sounded like.
Yeah, well, on the front page of their website, Copenhagen Half will be back in September 2027. So
yes,
very, very interesting. Yes. Let's get the elites there, and let's just bum off the general public.
Yeah, I don't know why they couldn't do what they did in Paris for the Olympics and have the elites compete, and at the same time push the public back an hour or two behind the elites, maybe. But anyway, there's certain rules and requirements that World Athletics sets, and as a result, unfortunately, there is no public event by the sounds of it this year.
Wow. So in recent years, they've had 30,000 runners participate in the event, and Denmark is famed for being one of the happiest countries in the world, which is perhaps down to their, how do I say that word? Is it Hygge way of life?
Yeah.
This essentially means that the Danes live a life that is cozy, relaxed, and social, something which I'm sure everyone can benefit from. As for the landscape, Denmark itself is characterized by low, flat, rolling plains, which explains the city's love affair with biking. So there are hundreds of bicycle hires, so grab yourself a bike and journey your way across this beautiful city. Let's look at the records. 58:01 by Jeffrey Kamwara from Kenya back in 2019, and the women's record is 105:08 from Teske Jimukju from Ethiopia in 2021. So very, very interesting. It looks amazing. A lot of these European halves are really quite flat, aren't they? So we haven't really talked too much about the hills, or that they all seem to be based around fast and flat.
They are the four that we've looked at so far. Yes, very much so.
So the top five. Sorry, Leach, go for it.
No, I just want to add just one thing in, and you never know, because at the end, Australia's favourite queen, let's face it, Australia's only queen, Queen Mary, Denmark. You never know, she could put your race medal on. Just saying, just putting it out there.
Okay. I'm just going to give that one absolute respect there, because I was really surprised that Tim did not raise the fact that King Charles was at a parkrun.
He was at Sandringham Parkrun at the weekend promoting a cancer charity, and turned up on his estate and was probably sitting there going, "Oh, I wonder, Camilla, why are all these pesky, sweaty people running around my estate?"
At least put a bit of accent on Tim. That was shocking.
I can't do that.
All right. So I just bought myself a little bit of time because I was just going into Google pronunciation. So
I knew that's what you were doing.
Ref Shalin, right, is situated in the. So these are the top 5 things to do. Situated in the north of the city's harbour, this is Copenhagen's most eclectic area. Here you'll find a variety of street food, vintage markets, and art galleries, and some really cool cats, right? The Havnering. Copenhagen is a city of cyclists. I looked at that and I thought that's pretty easy, but then you go, oh my God, Havneringen. So anyway, it's a city of cyclists, and it's hands down the best ways to get around. The Harbour Ring, which is what I tried to say before, is a 13K 8-mile bike route around the city that passes some of the famous sites. Copenhagen Zoo. Yes, I got one. Meet more than 4,000 fascinating animals at Copenhagen Zoo and travel between continents in just one day. You can also have churros by the chimps, ice cream by the polar bears, and lunch with a panda. Sounds pretty cool to me. Nyvam is the waterside row of colourful 17th century buildings, is what many people picture when they think of Copenhagen. Visit the surrounding jazz bars and restaurants for a great chilled out vibe. And then there's a museum, right? So
Carlsberg Museum.
That's
It's
it.
the
All right.
Carlsberg Museum. It's a beer museum. Isn't it?
I could say Carlsberg. I just could not say the others. But anyway, so it's a beer
Good
museum.
tech.
Sounds good to me.
Like to check.
Flip the tech.
I've got some work to do if I ever go to these half marathons. If I ever do the super half, Google Translate, here we come. Right. So, but back to you, Luch.
Excellent. Very well done, Tony, because I reckon I'm convinced that Tim chooses the most difficult words for you to say because he gets enjoyment out of it.
Yeah,
I reckon.
And to be honest, I had no time today to look at the run sheet, and usually I do because I try and simplify it and put it into words that I would use. But yeah, not today. So gone ski.
No, but well done. Now, Sarah, I'm going to hand it over to you to talk about my favourite thing of a race weekend, the expos.
Excellent. So this expo is going to be a bit hard to talk about. A translation issue between English to Dutch. But there isn't a lot of public information on their website as of yet. So where I am basing a lot of this on last year's expo, but it all starts with the expo, as we know. So you're going to pick up your race pack, you disappear into a maze of the latest running gear and all the news from Nike. So while saying that we don't know much about this year's expo, I'll go on to last year's expo and hopefully the details aren't too different. So you're going to pick up your race pack, include your race bib and your race bag and your bib number. The bibs are printed on site when you arrive. So it's like a London Marathon. So anyone that's done that, you'll remember that you just go through and they print it off for you right there. Quick and environmentally friendly. If you pre-ordered the official Nike t-shirt, it will be ready for you. You can exchange it if the size is incorrect. So it's like Chicago Marathon. They're happy to do that. So that's always good, as long as I've got that availability of the sizes that you want. The expo featured last year was well-known athletic and running brands. So you've got some shopping, demos, and expo advice. I'm not 100% sure if they've got any hair products or roofing products or mattresses. I apologise if we have not included that in there. If you go to this expo, can you please let us know? I would love to know in the show notes. So let us know.
Sorry, just a question. Because Nike was the sponsor last year, did they have a sub 1.5 hour half marathon jacket, I wonder?
No, it'd have to be a 58-minute or less, wouldn't it, to make it really exclusive? So, especially being a flat course, which Tim will talk about later. But yes, Nike is going to be showcasing at least the latest showing running shoes, apparel, and innovations. The running jacket, I don't know. The Luberin, which is Denmark's leading running specialist, is offering some gear advice and product expertise. High Five, which is nutrition samples and energy products you'll also find on the race course. Tim and I actually use High Five for our electrolyte after we've run. Zero sugar tablets that you just drop into the water. Very, very good, and replace those electrolytes well. So that's one that we can actually say works well. BMW, of course, is there. They will be showcasing their electric cars, which are their lead cars that they use on the race as well. It should be a very lively, energetic atmosphere full of runners gearing up for the big day. You should get the product testing, as I was saying, some special deals on some running gear, mini events or brand activations. So that was obviously a last year thing, so hopefully it's there again. Opportunities to meet other runners from around the world while you're there as well. So the expo has been held previously at the Gunnar Nu Hansens Plads at Copenhagen, and it's easily reachable by public transport. The M3 Cityringen Metro goes there with lots of bits and pieces, like several stations within walking distance. The expo has typically been run for 4 days leading up to the race, and that's the Wednesday 12 till 7, Thursday 12 till 7, Friday 10 till 7, and Saturday 10 till 7. You can just pick up everything that you normally would at a normal expo. So bib and race pack pickup and nutrition samples, and yeah, it'll just have a nice little festival. So like a normal expo. But look, this is all based on last year's one. My apologies if any of it's incorrect for this year.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that recap, Tara. So now I'm going to hand it over to Tim for his favourite part, the course description.
Thanks, Lechia. I do think that they are going to still hold an expo this year, even though there isn't a public thing. I think for the World Athletics Championships for the road running, I think they've still got plans to hold an expo. So we'll wait and see on that. As far as the race,
they say that 35,000 runners are expected for the World Half Marathon Championships.
Yes, I don't know how that works. Yeah.
Can I put my hand up and run?
I don't know how. I don't know too much because it has been, as I said, lost in translation a little bit. I think. So even their website, it just says there's no event this year till next year. So I'm not sure how it works with the World Championships. Obviously, they've taken over the half marathon this year, and then hand it back. But what we do know is that the half marathon course is generally regarded as flat, fast, scenic, and incredibly energizing. I don't know what that means when you're getting towards the end of your half marathon. If you feel incredibly energized, I could just imagine it at 19.4 kilometers, you're running, you're wearing out, and you go, I feel energized. I don't know what that means, but whether you're racing for a PB or soaking up the atmosphere, here's what it, of course, feels like from start to finish. It is apparently free of technical challenges, whatever that means, and is perfect for runners. So you'll run through Copenhagen's most iconic districts, including Osterbro, the historic inner city area, Vesterbro, Frederiksberg, and Nørrebro. Expect long, smooth stretches where you can lock into your rhythm. There are no nasty hills. There are no tight zigzags, just rolling tour of Copenhagen's best streets. From one runner's perspective, it feels like you're running the best streets of this course is a visual simulation. It feels like sightseeing at a tempo pace. You'll pass highlights such as Kongens Nytorv and its historic architecture, Frederiksberg Alley, one of Copenhagen's most picturesque boulevard, the shimmering lakes of the city, and the Black Diamond and Old Stock Exchange. Essentially, it is a circle course of the loop. You will get bands and DJs positioned throughout the course. There are dedicated power zones, and maybe this is the energy they're talking about. These are massive high-energy pockets of people cheering, music, noise designed to give you a turbo boost. So from a runner's point of view, these zones help break the course into exciting segments and help massively when fatigue hits around 16 to 18 Ks. There you go. There are 5 official refreshment stations on the course, each providing water, the High Five energy drink, cold water showers. There you go, showers. I guess they're just sprinklers over the head that you run through. Toilets, Vaseline, and medical team. So it's important you get your Vaseline as well for those who forget to body glide. The Copenhagen city embraces the event wholeheartedly. You run through neighborhoods that feel like block parties. Locals bring signs, music bubbles, horns, and endless encouragement. So sounds fantastic. It's smooth asphalt, wide roads that reduce bottlenecks and long straight segments. And as I said, it is a point-to-point course, but it is a circuit around the city. I'm not exactly sure how this drawing works that they've sent that I've got here. I think it's a little bit out. But basically, you're in the inner city area of Copenhagen. So it is the historic parts, and it looks fantastic. So that's the best description I can give. Lucia.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, guys. So after last week, where we talked about Lisbon and Prague, and this week we've covered Berlin and Copenhagen, we are now well and truly on our way with the SuperHalfs. So next week, we're going to finish the series off and talk about Cardiff and Valencia. So we hope you've enjoyed the insight into the first 4 of the SuperHalfs. Now, we're going to throw it over to Tim for Tim's tip.
Tim's tip, just keep your pace. No need to win, no need to race. Feel the earth, feel the sky. Tim's tip says, just give it a try. Yeah!
It's that time of the week where we get a tip from Tim. One week I'll get it right, one time.
Thanks, Lucia. It's all good. It's all good. I'm sure Tony will slot the music in there somewhere. My tip this week is, are you in a bit of a running rut? Are you struggling to get back into the swing of things now that we're into February and think you should be starting to move a little bit more than what you have been? don't worry. It is normal to feel that way. It can take a little bit of time to get out of that rut that you've had where you've put yourself into hibernation over the Christmas and holiday period, and to get the legs moving and to get the body moving. So if you are finding you're in a bit of a rut, maybe find a friend you can run with, as we've done. We've had Patrick out there running with us this week. But find somebody you can run with, somebody that can run slow with you or run easy with you. But focus on easy times, focus on having fun, focus on bringing consistency rather than pace back into your running. Look to sign up to some races. I always find that when I am in a bit of a rut, look towards races and use the races as a bit of a way to get your mojo back, to start training for something. When you're training for something, the motivation comes back into it, the fun starts to come back into it, the enjoyment and all the things you look forward to when you're racing come back into it as well. So do that. Use AI as well to develop up training plans to help you get out of your rut. Maybe try running on some different courses and get a different change of scenery. Maybe try some trail running as well to help get out of that rut as well. But it's at this time of year, as I said, when you are trying to get out of that, find that consistency of just doing the same routines, the same running every week, and it will get easier and easier and easier over time. And that's my tip this week.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Tim. Now, this episode is about to end, but just before we do, Tara, what's on for next week?
Excellent. Thanks, Lucia. So next week we are wrapping up our 3-part series on the SuperHalfs by talking about the Cardiff and Valencia half marathons. We'll explore what makes these events so special as we talk about everything from the expo to the finish line. As you've been hearing, these events are huge and are only getting bigger and bigger every year. We can't wait to bring you this episode next week. As we keep saying, we are the only podcast with 4 7-star world major marathoners. And as usual, it will be another great episode and definitely not one to be missed.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Tara. Guys, unfortunately, that's it for this week's show. As usual, it's been another fun one, and hopefully, again, we've inspired some of our listeners to maybe jump on the SuperHalfs train. We love making this podcast for you, our listeners. If you've run one or both or any of the events in which we've talked about so far, why not contact us and send us a message on Instagram, Facebook, or email us at happyrunning@flyingrunner.com and tell us your thoughts and your experiences. We love getting feedback and we'll reply to most messages in a very timely manner. You may also want to send us a message about the music that Tony has created via your Pace and Glory profile. Whatever it is, we love to hear the feedback because Tony's done an amazing job on it. So it'd be really good to get some feedback from our listeners. You can also watch this episode on Spotify, YouTube, or listen on Apple, Amazon, and all major platforms. Every step counts. Keep running, and we'll see you next time on the Flying RuNR Podcast. Happy running.
Happy running.
Happy running.
Teach the flying runner, run far, run free. Host the 7 stars, inclusive as can be. It's the flying runner for you and me. For you